Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into something really quite thought-provoking. We often discuss powerful medical tools, thinking about the chemistry, the trials,
Mm.
but what if the biggest impact isn't just, well, biological? What if it hits closer to home, our identity, our emotions?
That's exactly it. Our deep dive today isn't just about semaglutide as some kind of, magic bullet for weight loss.
Hmm.
We're looking at how it can actually trigger a much deeper personal journey.
Yeah, and that's our mission here, to really explore that human side, the unexpected twists that come with using a tool like this. We're going to lean on insights from Dan Hollis, his philosophy, and some real experiences.
Right, to uncover why it's such a human journey, needing so much more than just, a prescription pad.
So the big question we're wrestling with is, what actually happens when your biology shifts like that, fundamentally? And maybe more importantly, what deeper questions pop up when food isn't the main answer anymore?
Yeah, when that go-to coping mechanism
Yeah.
is quieter.
I'm really interested in Dan Hollis's core philosophy here because he sets such a different frame. He talks about it as a human journey, not just a drug journey. He even has this manifesto, like a map for it.
That's right, a guiding map. And he stresses that semaglutide, powerful as it is, it's a tool. It fundamentally messes with how your brain processes hunger, satisfaction, even reward.
Okay, so what's the first big takeaway from his perspective then?
Well, right off the bat, he insists that willpower, it was never really the core issue for lasting change.
That's huge.
Yeah,
Because we hear that all the time, lack of discipline.
exactly. And Dan argues, no, look, biology, our emotions, those deep-seated habit loops, these are incredibly powerful forces. Willpower alone often just can't win that fight long term.
So what's the alternative then?
His focus shifts. It's about insight, getting structure, having tools that actually work with your biology, meeting it where it is, moving away from blame towards understanding the biological reality. That's often the first real step toward freedom for people.
That's a really powerful reframe. But okay, think about someone who's tried everything, pushed with sheer willpower, and just feels like a failure. How does this approach help them unlearn that belief that they are the problem?
It's partly by bringing in this idea of emotional weight.
Emotional weight.
Yeah. He points out people often eat not from physical hunger, right? But because they're anxious or lonely or bored, overwhelmed, feeling unsupported.
All those triggers.
Right, semaglutide can dampen the physical hunger cues, sure. But if you don't also tackle that underlying emotional stuff, Dan sees relapses, well, incredibly common. It's about realizing food was a coping tool and then guiding people through what he terms an emotional recalibration.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And building on that, the sustainability idea.
Hmm.
Dan warns against losing weight too fast, right? He talks about metabolic pacing.
Mm-hmm.
We see people chase those quick results all the time. So when he says metabolic pacing, what does that actually look like? Is it like specific macros or just going slower?
It's mostly about understanding that fast results don't usually equal lasting results. Pacing protects you.
Protects you how?
Well, if you drop weight super quickly, your metabolism can actually slow down trying to conserve energy. You risk losing muscle, which you definitely don't want. And paradoxically, it can make long-term success harder.
Okay.
So pacing in practice means, timing your nutrition smartly, building habits deliberately, letting progress happen at a speed your body can actually handle without feeling like it's under attack. It's about respecting your physiology.
Which connects directly to another huge point Dan makes. The real work, maybe the deepest work, starts after the medication.
Yeah.
Because for most people, semaglutide isn't forever. So if you stop without a plan, without doing that internal work,
Mm-hmm.
what happens?
Well, those old patterns, they tend to creep back in. Appetite returns, those emotional triggers fire up again, sometimes with a vengeance. So the goal has to be building habits, building internal resources that can actually outlast the injections.
That really highlights the importance of self-perception, too. Dan's approach sounds very compassionate.
Immensely so. He really emphasizes there's no shame here. It's just a process, a journey of discovery.
Mm.
He argues you're not broken, you're not lazy, you're not undisciplined.
Mm-hmm.
You've probably just been fighting against a biology nobody ever explained to you, stuck in a culture that frankly profits from keeping you confused about your own body.
Wow.
So the goal isn't fixing you, it's about resetting your body's physiology and your own expectations of yourself.
And it sounds like it's definitely not just, here's your prescription, good luck.
Not at all. He frames it all as a conversation, a relationship, really. With food, with your body, with the guides supporting you, he's offering a map, guidance, community, not just a list of don'ts.
So the idea is to start right. Not start over again, but start with tools that actually align with your body, your brain.
Exactly. And with support. Fostering alignment, getting rid of the shame.
This all comes alive, I think, when we look at the actual experiences.
Yeah.
You mentioned Dan Hollis talks about something called the quiet window.
Yes, the quiet window. That really profound moment when the craving, the urge, it just doesn't arrive.
That sounds liberating, but also maybe a bit scary. Tell me about Kate.
Okay, so Tate. She's 46, mother of 3, about 2 months into using semaglutide. She'd lost around 7 pounds, minimal side effects. Her blood sugar was improving. You know, on paper, everything looked great.
But the real shift was deeper, wasn't it? What happened inside?
Well, Kate knew hunger, like knew it intimately. For her, that afternoon slump always meant chips, loneliness, bread, celebrating, cake. It was a rhythm.
A familiar pattern.
Totally. But then she had this almost shocking realization, that deep ingrained craving for food. It just didn't show up. The signal went dead.
Wow. She said she felt like a ghost in her own kitchen. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that line she shared with Dan Hollis, it really sticks with you. I walked past the pantry, and for the first time in 20 years, nothing reached back.
Chilling, isn't it? Just absence. And Dan's take on this is critical. He calls it the quiet window. And he describes it as the moment when, quote, the food stops answering your questions and the real ones start talking.
Ah, so that's where the deeper psychological stuff really surfaces, because the usual coping mechanism is suddenly offline.
Exactly. And here's something interesting, the grief. There's often this unspoken grief, he finds, of losing the very thing that numbed you, even if that thing was, you know, slowly messing up your life.
So Kate didn't just miss the food. She missed the signal, the routine.
Yeah, the rhythm, that old story she told herself, like, at least I know how to feel full. It's like, imagine your brain had this familiar, maybe comforting, maybe destructive playlist on repeat for decades. And then suddenly, silence. And you're left thinking, wait, what? What do I listen to now?
How does she describe that feeling?
She said she felt weird, like the house was too quiet. Her brain felt like a library after hours. And she said something really insightful. It's not that I'm sad, it's just that everything feels like truth now.
Wow. The truth emerges in the quiet.
Yeah. When the usual noise is gone, you can finally hear yourself.
So in that vulnerable space, what did Dan offer her? He calls it scaffolding. What's that about?
Think of scaffolding on a building, right? Temporary support while you build something stronger underneath.
Okay.
It's not just pep talks or generic motivation. It's about providing momentum, practical support. It's not restriction, it's recognition of what's actually happening inside. Dan's view is that semaglutide essentially clears the runway so you can finally see what's trying to land.
And for Kate, this led to small changes, not some overnight miracle.
Exactly. Small but significant shift, like maybe drinking tea instead of automatically reaching for a second drink, or taking a walk because it felt good for her future self, not just as a way to burn calories.
Right.
She herself says she's not done, not fixed, but she's, quote, here, in the quiet, listening.
That's powerful.
And for you, listening, if you find yourself in that kind of quiet space, and maybe it feels unsettling, Dan Hollis offers this thought really compassionately. You're not broken. You're just beginning to hear yourself again. Welcome to the quiet window. You're not alone here.
That's a really comforting message. The quiet window. Such a striking concept. But, you know, every journey hits bumps in the road. Setbacks happen. How does Dan Hollis help people deal with those?
This is another area where he really reframes things. He has this revolutionary way of looking at what we usually call failure.
Okay.
He says, and this is a direct quote, most people don't relapse into hunger. They relapse into confusion.
Confusion, not hunger.
Yeah? It's a critical difference. Setbacks, he argues, they're not shameful. They're actually predictable. They're normal signals that, hey, you're human. They're just moments where your body and brain need a little time to recalibrate.
It completely shifts the narrative, doesn't it? Takes the blame out.
Totally. And he uses this great analogy. Weight loss isn't a straight line up. It's more like a spiral staircase.
A spiral staircase.
Yeah. Sometimes you might feel like you're going in circles revisiting the same spot. But the key thing is you're still climbing. Still moving upward, even if the path twists and turns.
I like that. And this ties back to the pacing idea, too.
Absolutely. He repeats, fast results don't mean lasting results. Pacing is protection. People hit a plateau and they immediately think, oh no, it's stopped working. Or, what am I doing wrong?
Right. They blame themselves.
But Dan explains it differently. He says, that plateau, That's often your body catching its breath, your metabolism asking for a little grace, a little patience. It's part of the process.
Okay, so what about when those old cravings do pop back up?
Yeah.
Because they sometimes do,
Oh,
right?
sure. But again, the reframe. It's not weakness, it's memory.
Memory.
Yeah. It's just an old neural pathway lighting up, like an old habit asking, hey, do I still matter? And the crucial difference now, potentially with the biological quiet from the medication, is that you have the space, the capacity to answer differently. You have a choice you might not have felt you had before.
That makes sense. It's like the echo of an old habit.
Exactly. And this also touches on identity. He makes this point. Your body changes fast. Your identity takes time to catch up.
Ah, that lag.
Yeah. So a setback doesn't necessarily mean the medication isn't working. It often means the story you've been telling yourself about food, about your body, about who you are, that story still needs an update to match your new physical reality.
So semaglutide creates the space, the biological quiet.
Mm-hmm.
But Dan Hollis teaches you how to actually use that space by seeing setbacks as questions, not judgments.
Precisely. He encourages asking yourself 3 really key questions when you hit one of those bumps. 1, what am I feeling right now? 2, what do I actually need? Not necessarily what you crave, but what you need.
Okay.
And 3, who do I want to become? Looking forward.
What am I feeling? What do I need? Who do I want to become? Those are powerful questions.
They really shift the perspective, don't they? It means a setback isn't about losing ground. It might actually mean you're learning something vital.
This whole deep dive, it just makes it so clear. Managing weight, especially with tools like semaglutide, it's so much more than just a physical thing. It's this incredibly deep dive into our own biology, our emotions, habits,
Yeah.
our very sense of self.
Absolutely. It really underscores Dan Hollis's whole concept of the deeper work that's involved. Reclaiming your relationship with food, sure, but also with your body and ultimately with yourself.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on. If that external noise, the constant hunger, the cravings, if that quieted down for you, what deeper truths might finally get a chance to speak? What kinds of conversations would you then start having with yourself? And how would you choose to use that quiet, that newfound space?